what you can do today, do it today, don't wait for tomorrow. There is no, it's always you lose when you wait. For me, I hate things in average. I hate or I love. One friend of my board texted me by saying, look to the Nakamoto deal, and I looked to this and I was completely impressed to discover this treasury story. Honestly, I'm a non-stop guy. You can reach me 24/7 all the time. My mind never stops. Because it's not like every idea works for every company. Even if the treasury is great, you have the second question. Once you understand this, you say, is it good for Sequans? We have today $50 million cash available for the company outside of the Bitcoin treasury. I don't need this cash at all for my operation. I'm going to use some of it for my Bitcoin. So then the Bitcoin is going to benefit from this so that you cannot find in another company. For sure, more than 90% of my shareholder, they own the shares because I own Bitcoin, not because I have semiconductor. If the semiconductor can contribute and make value for their Bitcoin, they are happy. If not, they are not happy. Guys, going forward, it's not going to be a purchase order. Is he willing to pay upfront? If he is willing to pay upfront, I can give him better price. It's because if he pays me upfront, this cash, I can take it and deploy it on Bitcoin. So why do you trust the dollar, by the way? Why do you trust the euro? It's the same stupid things. It's just only because you got it in all your life in front of you. It's not because you thought about it. Yeah, I understand there is doubt at the beginning, how this will be adopted, but don't be afraid about this, it's happening.
Welcome to the Bitcoin Lifestyle Podcast. I have with me Georges, the CEO and Chairman of Sequans. I'm so excited to have you today. And also, we were talking before the recording about the journey that you've been through, adopting Bitcoin on your balance sheet. We're going to dig into that and also talk a little bit more about your personal journey as Bitcoin has entered into your life. Thank you for your time.
Thanks for being here, being in Paris. Happy to talk with you.
First of all, for the people who don't know what your company does and who you are, can you give a small introduction into who you are and what Sequans does?
Yeah, absolutely. Sequans is pure semiconductor company focusing on cellular connectivity for IoT. Essentially, all application, whether smart city, smart fleet management, smart home, security application. So there where you need some wireless connectivity, and this wireless connectivity is like your cellular, what you have on your phone, but you adapt this technology to make it very low power, very low cost for those kind of application. So this is what we do since ever, and we always spend our time in the cellular space, around 20 years old, and we had a lot of ups and downs and great success and sometimes failure, and we stand up after this, and we're still here.
And recently, adding on to what you're doing currently with semiconductors and IoT technology, you've added Bitcoin to the treasury,
Absolutely.
Which has gotten this big buzz, and kind of like why we're here today, wanting to hear more about why you did that and what is your story in Bitcoin. So
Honestly, it's like everything in life. It starts with opportunity, right? When you are a CEO running your company, you're always thinking about what do you do next, how you make value for your shareholder, how to improve the situation of your company, and you look to all opportunities around you. And all this story, as I was telling you before, it started with a small text when one friend of my board texted me by saying, look to the Nakamoto deal, and I looked to this and I was completely impressed to discover this treasury story there. And from there, it took me get completely excited, spend a couple of days trying to understand how you can get multiple by building Bitcoin asset, and create value for your shareholder. And it took me a couple of days to really understand the mechanic about it and look to the cases of other companies they were successful in, and decided to jump. And here I am, and we are in full speed on it.
Yeah, because it was not very long after you saw the deal, because I remember seeing Sequans pop up and I was like, oh my goodness, this is going to be so big, because not only are you a semiconductor, a company that looks into the future, you're very fast in adopting a new method, and now you're at over 3,000 Bitcoin in a very short time. One of the fastest growing in Europe. I think out of Europe, it's between you and a blockchain group, which is now capital B, right? Yeah. You guys are very cutting edge.
Absolutely. Yeah. We moved extremely fast, and I can tell you, to my taste, it was a little bit slow.
You want to go faster.
When I decide to move, I move really fast. And honestly, we put all the foundation around it, by obviously secure the first deal, which was half equity, half debt. And then we get this money, close it, and deploy it rapidly in 3 weeks. And And we'll have now, I spoke yesterday, I had my earning and start talking about the next step towards the end of the year and beyond 2025 for the coming 2-3 years as well.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
Wait, before we get into the full Bitcoin story, I want to hear more about you. How did you get into technology, into semiconductors and IoT technologies?
Well, I'm an engineer, right? I mean, I started my life as signal processing, so it's all about math and from there moved to the wireless system. I worked with many companies like Philips, like Sagem in France. My last big company was Alcatel, where I was running a business unit for them there. Then I left Alcatel beginning 2000s to create the first company in the Bay Area with a bunch of friends that we sold it to Juniper Networks 2 years later for more than $250 million. And then I worked for Juniper Networks a couple of years and decided to start again the entrepreneurship, and I launched Sequans with a bunch of friends and focusing really on the 4G at that time, now becoming 5G as well. So this is what I'm all about. I'm an entrepreneur, a simple entrepreneur. I love technology. My background, it's very easy. For me, it's not only technology, but also finance. And this, I believe, what I managed to do well. In Sequans, I managed to maintain this company from being, private, go public, raise tons of money, deploy it to build technology, sold the company, licensed technology. So this is what all I did.
Yeah, because you are a busy man. You're managing billions of dollars, millions of dollars. What does a day of the CEO of a global company like Sequans look like?
You wake up sleeping about the next things. To be honestly, I'm a non-stop guy. You can reach me 24/7 all the time. My mind never stops. Even when I take a little bit of vacation, I focus on this. But really, I'm excited about looking around. You need really, when you are a CEO, really you need two things. Whether you are able to make the change yourself because you have a great idea and you can go with the new things and surprise the world and create value with this. Or at least if you are not able to do this because you didn't get the right idea, watch what's happening around. And if there is something great for the company, for your shareholder, jump on it, embrace it, and build it. And maybe the Bitcoin is one of this. Like it's an angle where, while on the semiconductor, I had idea about building new technology on the 5G. In the Bitcoin, it was there is this treasury around. There is a movement that appreciated by the shareholder and where you can create value. So if you understand it, and why not do it as well? That's what I did.
Yeah, we want to get into your Bitcoin journey now because you mentioned Bitcoin and jumping into it as fast as you could. You heard about it, you jumped into it. What was your personal reaction to it? Like, when was the first time did you hear about Bitcoin, and what was your reaction to hearing about the Nakamoto deal and then putting it on your own balance sheet?
Yeah, there are two things. On the Bitcoin itself, honestly, I was impressed by the Bitcoin technology. For me, blockchain, all what's around the Bitcoin mechanics, if you want, is pure technology that I love it and I appreciate it. I had really, in the early days when I started hearing about the Bitcoin, I had you have two challenges when you look to it. The first challenge is the protocol built there is going to work in a decentralized way, and or someone is going to break it. And obviously it's very sophisticated protocol that proves itself that it's working over time. So on this, after a few years, you feel like, okay, it's working and it's working very well. Then you will have really the regulation, behind it, what the government can do. So this is on this piece. And then when you saw in the last movement where the government, everybody adopting this, I had today I don't like to say I'm 100% convinced because there is always risk in your mind about anything. But honestly, I'm 100% convinced it's there forever and it's happening. It's the digital gold. It's going to be adopted by everybody. So this is on the Bitcoin. Now the treasury itself, to be honest, I was not tracking this. And as I told you, until 3 months ago, I was not even watching what's happening there.
Yeah.
And when I start looking to this, I was completely impressed. And obviously looking to the case of strategy, how you can create multiple on the NAV that you have in the company. And this is really the trick all about it, how you can get from fixed income tools that you deploy, create value for your shareholder, right? And essentially you're betting on a Bitcoin, which can give you a return maybe more than 50% on year, and you are paying people 8% for fixed income because they prefer to be secured with their money, and you prefer to take the risk and get return on this risk, by the risk that I believe is not a huge risk holding Bitcoin, even if there is volatility, the volatility even in good things because you can create more around it. So that's what I could say, and once I felt like I understand it well, which by the way didn't take me too much. I mean, I should say 3 days, day and night.
No sleep 3 days.
No sleep. Then I said, this is good things to be done, and I start moving the machine with my advisor, bankers, and so on. And obviously, we start looking to the weak point, and maybe you will ask me about it, which is see how, because it's also, you have the financial mechanics that you know how to do it, you have the angle of Bitcoin, you have also the communication, all the machine around the Bitcoin, that maybe it's new for us because we're coming there. I can learn, I do stuff, but I prefer not to learn from zero. I prefer to get advisor around me, and that's how we got Swan team to help us. And this was part of the deal from day one. We said we do the deal with Swan, and we go forward.
Yeah, because I love how you were saying, you're a fast guy, even though you've already accumulated over 3,000, it's not fast enough for you. Can you tell me a little bit about your background in fundraising? Because part of the Bitcoin treasury is also the fundraising business part, right? Be able to make decisions fast.
Absolutely. I can tell you, look, I mean, I have a lot of experience. Maybe there is no one day when I was raising money, was it private or public, because I raised a lot on Wall Street since 2011. But before I raised a lot of money in the private world, I will say, with all the company I did, it's what you can do today, do it today, don't wait for tomorrow. There is no, it's always you lose when you wait. I mean, it's not like 50-50, you lose when you wait. I mean, it's time, and I have something I always say, time is your enemy. It's really, I believe there is no enemy in the world for me, for anyone, other than time. And this is the reality. I mean, we look every day to the mirror and we see ourselves old, right? I mean, that's how it is. And you cannot do anything about it. So, and the only way to fight against this is you move fast. But if you move fast, you can accomplish things. You can take decision quickly on this and move forward. And then better than waiting and letting the time pass, and then you're just only seeing things moving and you're doing nothing. So now I'm a guy like this. Honestly, it's really part of my blood,
and we can see that with how you operate your business. How has your family's reaction been? Because I don't know how much they know about Bitcoin or other people know about Bitcoin, but now you're become the Bitcoin evangelist, right? You were saying how you have to tell your board members, you have to teach everyone about Bitcoin. Like, are you also teaching your family?
Yeah, I am. I mean, to some extent, even I have to say, even my kids, they own Bitcoin. I mean, so before me, so the young generation jump on this, like, they hedge without even understanding what they are doing. They buy stuff because it's fun for them. And no, I mean, my family they know that business, family is very important in my life, and it's very hard for me to say it. Like maybe. If you ask me, put your choice, family or business, I will tell you family first. Mm-hmm. But if you tell me in a practice what you do, it's business first. I mean, maybe except the urgency cases where family step in. So my family knows that, when I want to do things, I'm fully busy and so on. And they saw me in the last 2 months, 3 months, getting almost crazy around this because day and night, and I'm working on this. So now, yeah. And they have books of Bitcoin at home, and no.
So even before you were buying Bitcoin on your balance sheet, they already were reading books on Bitcoin. Yeah. Did any of them come up to you and be like, "Dad," or like?
No, they. I mean, I can tell you, my daughter told me, "Oh, be cautious, Dad. Don't. So obviously, but just only, it's part of protecting the father.
Yeah.
But no, it's they support me. I mean, that's how it is, and even my team, because you think about it, like even your employee and so on, you were waking up and telling them we need to do semiconductor and so on, and then you wake up one day, you say, I'm going to raise money to buy Bitcoin. They look to you, what the hell you're talking about, right? I mean, where's this idea is coming from, right? I mean, so even the management team, but because even if all the management team is not involved in this, because most of them are on the operational angle, but they are influenced somehow, right? I mean, it's their company, so you need to tell them that what you are doing is right and it makes sense. So I have to go through this and educate even my management team and get them all adopting this. Some of them at the beginning say, what's this idea? But now they are all full speed on this.
Yeah, because I was about to ask you, must have been a bit of a conversation, right? Talking to your board, talking to your
Yeah.
management team. Was there any of them who were already Bitcoiners who were like, yeah, let's do it? Or was it more of a,
One
walking
guy.
through?
I mean, honestly, one
One
guy of
guy.
the board, which is the guy who texted me this. He was prepared for
He
this.
was a-
I mean, he's an investor as well, and he's really on top of this. So he was. It was obviously the easy piece. It was him and me discussing to because it's not like every idea work for every company. Even if the treasury is great, you have the second question. Once you understand this, you say, is it good for Sequans, right? I mean, is it good for me, for the company, and so on? And you need to look to your weak point, your strong point. What could happen if this will work? If it doesn't work, you need to think scenario about all this. And I did this, what I told you, during the like 3-4 days, and more or less with my board guys, calling him, texting him, and giving him my way I was thinking about it. And then I had to get the board. Obviously, at the beginning, the board, they looked to me, what's this? And then I had a good meeting in the board where all listened, and they said it kind of okay, because I'm a guy, when I push the board, they cannot stop me. So they feel my energy, and they say okay. So they were fine. Let's move. Then after the board, I get them one by one calling me to have one-on-one explanation, and all of them were convinced at the end, because they felt better asking questions that may look stupid,
Yeah.
when you don't know in a one-on-one situation, and they got support, and honestly, I have plans even to modify the board as well with the new condition, right? I mean, people need to understand that Sequans 3 months back, I was not at all treasury. I was only pure semiconductor. Now I moved to this, but I'm taking this extremely seriously, and more seriously than anyone think about it. And obviously, I'm putting all the condition around it to make it successful. One of it is really my hard work and so on, get the partnership like Swan, but also, get the right people on board, adjusting the team and so on. So many things are going in my mind, and more than in my mind, as a plan that I will be executing on in the coming, let's say, 4 or 5 months. Towards the end of the year, I want to look completely different, with the new company, call it, like, while I'm executing now, buying Bitcoin and holding Bitcoin.
Exactly. I think when we were talking prior to the interview, you also mentioned to be able to leverage both sides, semiconductors, technologies of the future, and also Bitcoin. I want you to talk a little bit more about that, because when you were saying that, I was really like thinking, yeah, this is great, because your operating business is very much future focused.
Yeah, I mean, the very important, the operating business. First of all, I don't know how much the people, they are sensitive to this and they understand. You cannot operate a shell only. I mean, as a company, because then you will not be in the indexes. You will not. I mean, it's not for no reason that strategy today, although they have, they are what 56, 50. I don't know where they are today. More close to 60 billion NAV, right? I mean, in terms, and they still have business in software, which is $500 million revenue. Anyone can argue, say why they have it. I mean, I believe they have it for good reason as well. Now, in the case of Sequans, it's different. Even you have double impact. The business that you have, obviously, you have your core business, and you can have transformation of this, and you need to monetize this and get the value of the cash, because this will be non-dilutive. I mean, you can get cash tomorrow. Sequans, 3 years back, I made a license for $60 million for a Chinese partner to give them the technology to sell 5G in China and collect a royalty. It's a business, there is no investment, money coming in. It's not, so it's pure margin, 100% margin. Last year, same time, I did a deal with Qualcomm, $200 million in one shot to the company. Again, there is no effort. So we have IP, we have technology that can be monetized and generate cash for the company. But on the other angle, when you have your core business, if tomorrow, if you have a challenge, whatever is the challenge, you have it on the treasury, it's good to have another leg that you can sustain on it to recover. But this doesn't mean we are not focused on the Bitcoin. This doesn't mean we are going to burn money on we have today $50 million. I mean, it closed a little bit less, but I have $10 million coming in September, but I can round it more than $50 million cash available for the company outside of the Bitcoin treasury. I don't need this cash at all for my operation. I'm going to use some of it for my Bitcoin. So then the Bitcoin is going to benefit from this, that you cannot find them in other company. Also, when you look to a company like Sequans, where you have your NAV, let's say $400 million, your core business, if you can milk it and make $200 million or $300 million, you can almost make one-to-one. You can increase the Bitcoin per share very, very rapidly by making a deal of $200 million IP deal in the company. So it's extremely important, this. But on the other side, and this is where the Swan angle, when we look to the company or make a transformation like this, you need to look to what's missing in the company, right? You cannot say, because I did great semiconductor, tomorrow I know how to do treasury, even if really, for me, I mean, the dynamic of the financial mechanics around it are very well controlled. But there is still missing piece for me and an experience, which is all the marketing, all the push to market, all the advice, all the complexity, that people learn it over Bitcoin and I didn't learn it. And I need someone as well to help me on this. And this is where Swan deal came in with Corey, Ben, Yan. I mean, you have 3 key individuals in this company, plus stuff behind them. They are impressive. I like them a lot. And that's why we are in exclusivity all together. I mean, we are decided to make this successful for them and for us. So it's not like an advisory, just only getting, I'm giving you a few hours of advice, George. No, they are committed to Sequans and I'm committed to Swan to make this successful. We are going to make this treasury big and successful, and the 2 teams will do everything to make it there.
Yeah, because I was about to ask about Swan, right? And having them on your side is definitely a plus. Having them understand and help you on the media side and on the also potentially the financial tool side of what you're going to do with Sequans, with all this Bitcoin, is going to be amazing for you guys.
Absolutely.
How did that deal come about? Did they come contact you first? Or
no, I mean, as I told you, I'm a guy, I don't do things without putting all the foundation to make it work, right? I mean, it's not like, you cannot be an amateur on anything, right? I mean, you say the treasury is great, okay, but then you understand the concept, how you implement it, and what you are missing to implement this. The piece of raising money, it's easy for me. I have done this all my life. I did so many times. So it was not the complex piece. The other piece, which is, as you said, the media machine, the communication machine, the angle, all the Bitcoin element, if you want, behind it, the treasury, how this, the network around it, all this is new for me. I could learn it for sure, but I didn't want to go and make an amateur for 1 year, and in 1 year I have shareholder commit, behind me, giving me the money to execute. I need to execute and execute fast. So that's why we decided we need a machine like Swan from day one. So it was not like a surprise. We didn't start the deal before thinking about it. And we went and we raised the money. In the same time, I had a term sheet with Swan, So I signed with Swan my deal. Like, it was not the final deal because it has to move fast. We looked to a couple of companies that could help us, and we loved Swan, and we find that they love us, and we made the deal. We put the term sheet together, and then I went raise the money. And once I raised the money, I came back and turned this term sheet to become an agreement. So the agreement with Swan becomes public recently. But if you think about it, the concept or the term sheet of the agreement was almost signed before the deal, because I did this in parallel at the same time.
Yeah, amazing. Because when you're working at such a high level with everything, managing a large company, you need to be doing all these things at the same time. And I love how fast you are with everything. My other question would be, because you are based in France, how does the French business community react to Bitcoin? How does the government react to Bitcoin in terms of regulations? Have you had any pushback in terms of that?
We didn't have any pushback so far, and I didn't see any pushback on Bitcoin officially, I would say. I believe Europe will be always lagging behind the US, behind other, because it's Europe and everything is complicated in Europe. They need to overthink it, and because they overthink it, also the financial market is not as strong and when you are, in New York, right? I mean, so you have many elements that let me feel like the market today is in the US, it's normal, and Europe will follow. And that's what's going to happen. Now, being a European company, what I believe, however, is that if you have European investors, we should attract European investors, right? I mean, because if you are European investors and you want to buy a share in a treasury, I mean, I prefer to, Sequans, I know it's a French company, it's good to buy this, I know what it is. So in my opinion, we have a value there for the European and for the French, and hopefully we can milk it and attract more shareholder. I don't know how this will work, but hopefully it will be a plus for Sequans. And I guess I don't see it negative, to be honest.
So do you see, because you guys are becoming one of the leaders now in the European market in Bitcoin treasury. Do you see other companies following along anytime soon and seeing this whole narrative of European Bitcoin treasury companies coming to light soon?
I don't see it because the challenge is that all this is happening in the US. So you need to be listed in the US, right? I mean, so doing this in Europe, I don't believe is going to happen soon, because the market, the financial market in Europe is not that liquid that, I will say, risk-taking, or what I will say. So very likely will not have too many treasury European because there is no company listed in the US that can execute such strategy. And this is what makes Sequans unique from this point of view as well.
That's a very good point, because Sequans is able to capture a larger market that makes sense.
Yeah.
You have been in tech for over a decade, like for a very long time. You said you were an engineer and stuff. How does leading Sequans before these past 3 months differ from now? Because you said for the past 3 months you've barely slept. You've been doing so much, right? Doing something new. What has that big shift been like?
Honestly, I mean, yes, I was doing tech. I was telling you, at the end of the day, you have a mission when you are a CEO, create value for your shareholder. This is your mission number one. And to do this, what do? You build the product and you go and sell it to customer, and you create value for this to your shareholder. So this is the mission of any company in the world and any CEO. So, and obviously controlling the financial, dynamic there is key, because if it's all about finance, at the end of the day, it's not like, okay, you can be a great engineer, but if you are not able to raise money, you will stay alone with your idea, and maybe at best you can make a prototype, and maybe you can get a patent that you can sell for a couple of $1 million, but you cannot build a company. See my point? So finance for me is very, very important, and I understand it very well, since ever, I will say, and legal and all the elements related to the business, even if my core business was tech and semiconductor. So that's why for me the jump in Bitcoin is not complicated, because it's more making the jump in the finance and understand the dynamic of the communication and so on. So for me it's not a big change, honestly. It's but the focus itself, I need now to think about, okay, I have my core business where I need to make decision on it in the way to make more value for the Bitcoin, and not because my shareholder are Bitcoin. They are owning the shares because I own Bitcoin. Simple. Not because I own semiconductor. And it's clear, right? I mean, I used to have shareholder buying Sequans for the semiconductor, but today, I could say for sure more than 90% of my shareholder, they own the shares because I own Bitcoin, not because I have semiconductor. So what they want me to hear from there, how this can, if the semiconductor can contribute and make value for their Bitcoin, they are happy. If not, they are not happy. And this is my challenge, if you want, is like, I need to run this core business in a little bit different way and a different angle, where in the past, for example, I can give you an example. It will be now, the core business will be not P&L driven in a sense, it will be cash driven.
Yes.
You see, because that's what matters for the Bitcoin. It doesn't matter if I'm showing you great IFRS and break even and KPI and metric on my core business. What they matter is that am I generating cash? If I'm generating cash, this cash can be used to be deployed on Bitcoin and create value for my shareholder. So you have different way of looking to the problem, but it's, the business itself is more or less the same, right? But you optimize it differently. My message to my salespeople, for example, and I did it well, I had my meeting with the salespeople on the semiconductor. The sales guys, they come to you and they say, I have this customer, and now we're approaching year end. We start talking about forecast for next year. And some customer getting successful, they call, okay, we need to buy 1 million product next year. If I give you a purchase order for 1 million, can you give me a better price? And I said to my sales guys, going forward, it's not going to be a purchase order. Is he willing to pay upfront? If he is willing to pay upfront, I can give him better price. So because if he pays me upfront, this cash, I can take it and deploy it on Bitcoin. So you see my point. While in the past, I will not be thinking the same way. Right? Because cash matters, but you need really to get the metrics of gross margin and so on that they show better. Today, those metrics, they don't matter for my shareholder. What matters is yield on the Bitcoin, and yield on the Bitcoin is exactly related to the cash that the company is able to deploy to buy Bitcoin.
Yeah. I want to go and ask you a few questions on your philosophy and leadership now, because we are here to talk more about your lifestyle and you as a leader and the chairman, CEO of Sequans. What has it been like for you working and being a CEO? Do you have any advice for anyone who is starting out and also thinking maybe I should go into Bitcoin treasury or whatever business they're in?
Advice, it's always hard to give advice for people, right? I mean, I could say enjoy what you are doing. Don't do something that you don't understand. And when there is something, if you really decide to do it, go with your full energy, full speed on this. And when you start things, you don't know how they turn. I tend to say often, luck. You need to be lucky. You need to work hard and get lucky. But luck comes just because you're running. If you sit at home and you do nothing there, luck will not knock on your door. But if you are on the road and embracing the change and what's happening in the world, you can be lucky. So now when you are running, it's a big responsibility, when you're running a company like Sequans, shareholders are behind you, they trust you, they give you money, and they want you to give return, employees are working for you. So a lot of things in your mind coming, and you need to have the strategy, the right things, see where your weak point, your strong point, no matter what you are doing. But at the end, run, if I should say. Maybe if there is something, really run, because time is passing, and then go full speed on whatever you think is the right things. And it doesn't matter even if you get failure, jump. Resiliency is very important in life. So and show resiliency and come back, learn from your experience. That's what I could say.
Yeah, because this interview is going to be archived on the internet and be out there, right? What's something that you want the future generation, your kids or people, to hear about personal life has been like, just an overall kind of your philosophy?
I mean, I'm an entrepreneur, and simply for me, entrepreneur, do what you like, right? I mean, have a purpose on life, don't be here to do nothing. So that's what I say to anyone, right? I mean, it doesn't mean, right, by the way, running a company. It means really embrace the project that you think about and do it with all your heart in it. Don't do something. I mean, for me, I hate things in average. I prefer, I hate or I love. You see my point? I'm not in the middle. And that's what makes life, more interesting. We are here for a very short period on this planet, and that's what I can tell them,
Okay.
And obviously, I'm change the world. The technology is all about the every day there's new things, and you learn always. In my age, 3 months ago, I was not aware about the treasury, and I'm on it today, and I'm excited like a kid, like I'm discovering something, new and implementing this and so on. So there is always something new in life, and jump on it, embrace it, and change it.
Okay, amazing. Now we have rapid fire round, so you should answer these questions really fast, really short. And I have around 3-4 questions to ask you. Okay. What's the first thing you do when you wake up in the morning?
Looking to my phone. Emails.
Okay, one word your friends will use to describe you.
I yell a lot.
Yell. Okay, last
Energy
book,
as well.
Energy.
Yeah.
Okay, last book that you've read and that stuck with you.
The book of Yan on the Bitcoin, inventing Bitcoin.
Amazing. Okay.
Just I read it,
Okay, work from home or in the office?
Work 24/7.
Anywhere.
Yeah, no, honestly, that's how I am. And I jump, I get out of my bed and I start working. I get my breakfast. I enjoy my coffee, but then I work.
That's the CEO you want.
I'm always 24/7 for me. I hate long vacation. I cannot stop. Honestly, it's very hard for me. My family hate me for this, but that's my life.
Okay, are you an early bird or a night owl?
Extremely night. And I sleep extremely well and deep. You cannot wake me up when I sleep. That's why I hate to sleep. But I really stay late. Obviously with the time zone, working with the US. For me, giving me a call at midnight, Paris, you're sure I will answer,
Wow.
and you will not bother me. For sure I'm doing something. So often I sleep after midnight, maybe 1. And in the morning, I wake up when the light is up,
Okay, last question. What is one thing about Bitcoin you want everyone to know?
I want to say to people, don't be afraid. This is really, I mean, why do you trust the dollar, by the way? Why do you trust the euro? I mean, it's the same stupid things, just only because you got it in all your life in front of you. It's not because you thought about it. Did anyone in the world thought about how strong is the dollar? No one. I mean, you go even outside of the US, by the way. Take a guy in Paris here, you give him $1, he will take it. He's willing to give you a service for $1, and he has no clue about, he doesn't maybe read in English or write or speak English. So my point, like, just only because we get used to things, we believe they are the right things. But it's when there is something new like the Bitcoin, which is essentially fixing many of the problem of those fiat money, and the technology behind it. Yeah, I understand there is doubt at the beginning, how this will be adopted, but don't be afraid about this, it's happening. That's what I would like to say to the people.
All right. Thank you so much. Amazing.